Democrats are straight up sunk, paddles snapped, canoe capsized, floundering in a storm of their own making. Leading the chaos, Eric Swalwell, the sleazy spy snuggling Casanova who flung open the bedroom doors to Chinese operative Fang Fang and then strutted around like a peacock preaching Russian collusion. But get this, mere days after Trump's DOJ hurls him into a federal criminal meat grinder, Swalwell is already gearing up for a bombshell announcement that could either ignite his career funeral or just drag the entire Democratic circus down with him. And piling onto that inferno, Democrat Congressman Jamie Raskin, he is feeling the heat as Ghislaine Maxwell attorney-client email scandal explodes. Stolen records weaponized to smear Trump. And just when you thought the fire couldn't get hotter, Katie Couric's Epstein confession drops like a hammer. Smash that like button, subscribe to the chaos, and buckle up. The Democrat demolition derby is just getting started. Let's begin with Jasmine Crockett, who crashed Gavin Newsom's podcast because nothing screams hardest working governor like a full-time podcaster. But folks, it was Crockett's words that hit like a gut punch. This might just eclipse Hillary's deplorables disaster. Listen to this nonsense.
You can wave all the flags you want to, but I am telling you right now that the most unpatriotic people that we have in this country are MAGA and this president. We are the real patriots, and it is time for us to take our flag back and show people what America is about.
Democrats taking back the flag? That's rich coming from the crowd whose street parties feature flag-burning bonfires on a regular basis. And you can't claim patriot status when your playbook prioritizes illegal invaders over hardworking American families. Under Biden and Harris, they flung open the floodgates, turning our southern border into a revolving door for fentanyl and chaos. Newsflash, no borders, no country, no sovereignty, no America. And let's not forget, it's the left that keeps telling Americans they're inherently racist. Enter Exhibit A, Michelle Obama's endless grievance tour.
Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting, and it's so expensive, and it takes up so much time.
Every single time. Why does race have to come up at every single event she speaks at? I mean, seriously, it's like a weekly subscription to division. Look, I don't care if your hair is curly, straight, braided. I don't even care if it's neon green. All I care about is if you're a decent human being. And maybe that's the problem she should be tackling instead of painting the majority of the country as racist villains. Now let's get back to Crockett, equally as bad. Let's drop some facts on her fairy tale. According to Gallup, Republicans are soaring in American pride. 92% say they're proud to be Americans. Democrats? Cratered to a pathetic 36%, their lowest ever. Like their pride is on life support. So how do we fix the left's pride paralysis? Dr. Oz has a few suggestions. Listen to this.
Maybe we should consider an ICD-10 billing code for Medicare for people with Trump derangement syndrome. You know, it is such a pathological process. You can't have a rational discussion. Listen, you and I, we've had plenty of people come into our lives we disagree with. I'm fine with that. But at least have a rational and thoughtful conversation about what's really going down and start off with the same facts.
We might also want to carve out a special premium subsection for Democrats who invent their own facts and then weaponize them like the 11th commandment. So what's the treatment? I say time to go cold turkey from the CNN, MSNBC echo chamber. Swap that drip for daylight, and the miracle side effect? An epidemic of Make America Great Again. Fever restless hands itching to build, not burn. And speaking of fever dreams, Seattle's socialist mayor-elect is begging Santa for the full commie Christmas catalog. Watch this.
I want everyone in this great city of ours to have a roof over their head. I want universal childcare and free K-8 summer care. I want world-class mass transit. I want great, safe public spaces where kids can run around with abandon. I want stable, affordable housing for renters. I want social housing. I want much more land and wealth to be owned and stewarded by communities instead of corporations. I want a robust economy with thriving small businesses, great living wage jobs, and strong rights for workers.
There's the Democrats' favorite four-letter F word, free. We all would love free childcare, but that's not how the world works. Socialism is basically the world's worst group project, which we've all been in, right? When you're the one who does all the work, but everybody gets the grade you earned, even the guy who didn't show up. I mean, socialism basically guarantees equal shares of nothing, delivered right on time by the same folks who can't fix the DMV. Now, another recipe for disaster is the latest announcement coming out of California. The guy who cozied up to a Chinese spy now fancies himself governor of the Golden State. God help us all, because Swalwell, he sure won't.
Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell is eyeing a new gig, governor of California. The news could be made official as soon as next week. If so, it will come as multiple outlets report the Trump administration referred Swalwell for a federal criminal investigation.
Oh, they absolutely did. The DOJ is now digging into whether Eric Swalwell cooked the books on a mortgage application for his swanky $1.2 million D.C. mansion. But here's the thing. He's cooked either way. If Swalwell claims that place as his primary residence, which he does in D.C., then he's openly thumbing his nose at the constitutional residency rules for representing California. He must have a home in California. And since he doesn't, by the rules, he should be kicked out of Congress. But if he wants to insist California is his actual home base, well then congratulations, folks. We've got mortgage fraud on our hands. Also, public records, they show zero trace of Swalwell owning or renting a home in California. This clip, remember this one? Makes a lot more sense now. Watch this.
Will you, Director, recuse yourself, yes or no, from investigating or making decisions about the 60 individuals, including myself, that you identified as government gangsters? Yes or no?
Time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may respond if he would like.
And the answer was no, as I heard.
The fang flinging fiasco is toast. And speaking of getting cooked, Fani Willis just took another gut punch she's not going to forget. Feast your eyes on this one.
On another front, just a few moments ago, the judge overseeing President Trump's Georgia election interference case. The president's been charged with lots of crimes in that case. It's all on hold because he's president. The president has immunity. But the judge today dismissed 3 of the charges from that Fani Willis prosecution. Meanwhile, a new prosecutor has been named there as well. So that case is getting a new look and a new thing. I would not be surprised if in a few months you see prosecutors go to the judge and say, I want to reverse this case. But we'll see where that has. But meanwhile, the judge dismissed 3 charges in the case today, a sign that maybe more is added.
Now, in case you forgot, this is the case where Willis was disqualified after her affair with Nathan Wade came to light. So will it survive, or will it just join the graveyard of Democrat witch hunts? I guess you'll have to stay tuned to find out. And this is wild. Workers at the Texas federal prison camp holding Ghislaine Maxwell just got fired for leaking emails where Maxwell raved about her cushy digs at federal prison camp Bryan. Clean kitchen, polite staff, no possums raining from the ceiling apparently, which begs the question, what the heck was happening in Tallahassee? But here's where it gets political. Maxwell's attorney is crazy mad that Democrat Congressman Jamie Raskin, who moonlights as a full-time law professor and part-time drama queen, got his hands on those emails and blasted them to the public. In a scorcher of a statement, her attorney wrote in part, quote, "The release to the media by Congressman Raskin of Miss Maxwell's privileged client-attorney email correspondence with me is as improper as it is a denial of justice. His action should be a matter for professional disciplinary action. There have been appropriate consequences already for employees at federal prison camp Bryan. They have been terminated for improper, unauthorized access to the email system used by the Federal Bureau of Prisons to allow inmates to communicate with the outside world." Now, she basically goes on to say this is a breach of Maxwell's 1st, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, the ones all prisoners are afforded to, and calls Raskin's actions shocking and reprehensible. NBC News, they published the emails on November 8th. Then Raskin fired off a letter to President Trump claiming a whistleblower told him that Maxwell was prepping a commutation request. Maxwell's lawyer calls that garbage, absolute fiction, she says. Instead, she's gearing up to file something in federal court based on new evidence that could flip her trial. We'll see if that holds water. Here's Raskin trying to justify his move on MSNBC.
All they're saying is that somehow they know, and this is very strange to me, that there are employees who've been fired because of what they've done. I'm curious how they would know that. That sounds like a breach of whatever those employees' personnel records are. But in any event, this is her claim that these people were fired because of what they did. The allegation seems to be that her attorney-client privilege was somehow compromised in the TrueLink system. When the inmates log on in the system, they have to click a whole statement that they consent to this being reviewed by the prison, and there's a statement that there is no attorney-client privilege or confidentiality that attaches to them. So we're, of course, not saying where we got any information that we received, and it may not even be from the people that she's talking about.
Raskin's curiosity is about as genuine as a $3 bill. I mean, he's playing dumb, while the left's transparency crusade looks more like a witch hunt. If your big gotcha is that Maxwell's prison life is better than Florida's, you're probably on the losing side. But then again, we know Democrats are all about transparency and, of course, honesty.
Sunlight, of course, is the best disinfectant. And we've maintained from the very beginning that the American people just deserve the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to the Epstein files.
Funny how that works, because all the Democrats seem to do is lie. Case in point, this gem they dropped on X. It reads, quote, new. Documents show Donald Trump spent Thanksgiving with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017. At the time, Trump was already president and Epstein was already a convicted sex offender. Well, that post was quickly deleted, which tells you everything you need to know. Another swing and a miss in their desperate smear campaign against President Trump. But who did dine with Epstein? Oh, Katie Couric, the so-called journalist who claims ignorance is bliss.
The strangest part of going to a dinner party at Jeffrey Epstein's house.
I didn't know anything about Jeffrey Epstein at the time, and it was super weird. What can I say? And the person I was with said, did you notice how young the girls were who were taking the coats? Aww. And I said, I really didn't. But of course, later we found out everything about him.
That's
but
amazing.
Yeah, I was invited to it, and I should have done a little more research. But a lot of the stuff about him hadn't come out yet.
A lot hadn't come out? Except the fact Epstein was a convicted sex offender by 2008, served time, and was released 18 months before this dinner. Katie's I don't know defense is about as believable as a Biden press conference. Nobody's buying it, and nobody should. Now here's another kicker. Back in 2015, when Trump was a candidate, he was the one who called out the Clinton-Epstein connection. Watch this and ask yourself while you're watching it, why would someone with something to hide shine a spotlight on it? Take a look.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So,
the Clintons are friends
and he's
of
been
yours,
there
right?
for many times.
The Clintons are friends.
Well, I can't say friends, but I know
You're friendly. You know them. Well,
they play at my clubs a lot. I have clubs, and everybody likes to play at my clubs.
Are you saying there's a political problem for her if she runs for president?
It could be a political problem. Look, he could be a political problem.
If Trump were guilty of what the left wishes, he'd be hiding it deeper than Hunter Biden's laptop in an FBI vault. And let's not forget, the Epstein victims themselves cleared the president.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon, did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No. They're not alone. Here's former New York Lieutenant Governor Betsy McCarthy vouching for Trump.
I'm for transparency. I think all the files should be released. But let me be clear. I know from personal experience that Donald Trump has never had a taste for inappropriately young girls. In the 1990s, when I was lieutenant governor, Donald Trump and I double dated. I was dating my future husband, Wilbur Ross. He was dating his future wife, Marla Maples. We called her Peaches. We would go to the fights in Atlantic City. We would go out to nightclubs, plenty of hot spots. And I never saw Donald Trump behave inappropriately with anybody young like that. So I think that all of those records should be just released.
What more evidence do Democrats need? Biden released nothing because there was nothing to release. Trump booted Epstein from Mar-a-Lago for inappropriate behavior. The victims say Trump was never involved, and yet the Democrats keep digging their way into a grave. Well, Trump's now turning the tables. The president writing on Truth Social, quote, I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia, Russia, Russia scam with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. Trump's initial stance was caution. He wanted to protect the names of people that have been involved with Jeffrey Epstein, but not necessarily involved in the criminal behavior. He's worried the media will just slander every name in that file, regardless of their involvement. But now, it's game on. Let's see which party takes the biggest hit. My money? It's on the Democrats who've turned Epstein into their latest obsession while ignoring their own skeletons. Well, up next, if you missed my latest video, check it out. John Fetterman leaves CNN's Dana Bash absolutely speechless when he drops all these facts on which party is more hateful. Plus, Jen Psaki, she gets herself caught in lawsuit territory on live television. And I've also got an update on Congresswoman LaMonica MacGyver's case regarding her physical altercation outside an ICE facility in New Jersey. Remember when she was pushing and shoving and trying to get in? Yeah, the judge isn't liking what he's saying. Go ahead, click on that video you see now on your screen, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day.